Change. Joining us, Blue Stack Strategies founder Mara Gillespie and Democratic pollster Carly Cooperman joins us now. Thanks for being here, ladies. And Carly, I want to start with you. What's going to happen with this seat? Because, you know, I asked the question, will we see a generational change? But really, at the DNC, you have got this battle waging with the vice chair, David Hogg, saying he wants young fighters, wants to spend millions to try and help those that indicate that they'll have that playbook in the primaries.
Yeah, I think one thing that was very clear coming out of the election for Democrats with the losses that took place is that the status quo is not enough. And Democrats want to see change. And to some extent, that's going to be a new generation of leadership that's coming forward. I don't necessarily think what David Hogg is doing is, the full answer in terms of taking all resources to have Democrats primary each other. But I think that's going to happen naturally. And to some extent, it's a good thing for more people in the Democratic Party to put their hands up and say that they want to run for office and want to bring out new ideas, because it's clear that just resistance to Donald Trump is not going to be enough for Democrats to take back seats. They're going to need to put forward new ideas. And so to some extent, seeing fresh faces and more people will be a good thing for the party.
Hey, Carly, is it going to be a sitting House Democrat, perhaps, like Krishnamurthy or Laura Underwood, who have both sort of teased that they might try and do it? Or will it be a new face, do you think, that will try and get Durbin seat?
I think you're going to see both. There's certainly going to be some strong people from the House running for that seat. And to some extent, like, they have experience already working in Congress, and they understand the mechanisms that need to happen in terms of getting laws passed. And that's a good thing. You know, these are people who are still younger Congress people. But you're also going to see some fresh faces and people who probably haven't had experience in Congress running before. Yeah. And to some extent, having a big range of people putting forward new ideas and challenging people to think creatively I think that's all to the best.
And Mara, this clearly appears to be a power vacuum. Durbin is the #2 guy, the whip in the Senate, and a long-standing leader. But Schumer, the top Democrat in the Senate, also rumors that he might get challenged by someone like AOC. How are Republicans seeing this?
Well, I think it's interesting from a Republican's perspective is to watch and see who's already throwing up their endorsements, right? So you have J.B. Pritzker, who's endorsed the lieutenant governor of Illinois to fill the seat. You already have Cory Booker, who's endorsed and given Brian Schatz his full endorsement to be the #2 to replace Dick Durbin in terms of Senate leadership. And I think that tells us that both Cory Booker and J.B. Pritzker are probably looking at a 28 run. But I think and so that's an interesting aspect of it. But I also say that what Republicans are looking at is this dysfunction that's happening in the Democratic Party without strong leadership, because they don't know exactly where to go. So it will be interesting to see who they'll be matched up with, who John Thune is going to have to work with on the Senate. But Chuck Schumer should have been for a long time looking to build up a mentor, another senator, to take his spot. I think he's shown that it's time to move and pass the torch, and Republicans will be keen to see who that is.
So not just the Durbin race, but other races across the country, if David Hogg is actually bloodying up Democratic primaries against incumbent Republicans, you see that as a benefit, no?
Oh, it's great news for Republicans. I mean, you're going to spend $20 million to primary each other. When Republicans currently have all three branches, we have the executive, we have both the House and Senate. So when you're in the minority, I don't know that it really makes a whole lot of sense for the Democrats to go after their own and potentially reduce that minority even further. I understand his thinking, but that's something that he can do in a pack, not as the vice chair of the DNC.
And Carly, I'll give you the last word. How concerned are you about really the Democrat damage done before even the general elections?
I think we're going to see Hogg walk back to some extent from what he already said. I mean, he already has kind of acknowledged that, his role in the DNC is to help the party put forward the strongest candidates possible. And so the last thing the Democrats need is party infighting, taking away from the bigger picture of challenging Trump and challenging Republicans. I think there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for Democrats to come back based on what's happening right now and already the plummeting numbers that we're seeing for Trump taking a lot of policies too far and impacting Americans and the economy and the cost of living for them going the wrong direction, how compared to how they thought things were going to go with Trump. So I think the Democrats understand what's going to be ahead of them. And by the time it comes to an election, a lot of this infighting is going to subside.
In the midterms, a long ways away, but here we are already talking about 2026. Mara Gillespie, Carly Cooperman, thank you for being here today. Have a great weekend.